They say a fool and their money are easily parted. But you're no fool. In fact, you seem smart enough to know that it's a great idea to subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'd like to sit back in my fairly squeaky chair, relax, and have a little conversation with all of you guys about collectibles, ownership, history lessons, and super intelligent people making super intelligent financial decisions. Today, we are talking about Mythic Markets, which is an interesting company when it comes to the world of collectibles. You see, what I've got here with me is a Gardevoir EX from Paldean Fates, rated PCG 10. It's not the rarest card on the planet. It's not the most valuable card on the planet. But it is mine. I am physically holding it. I own it. And it is ultimately up to me what happens with it, whether it gets traded, sold, admired as part of my collection, or whatever. And for me, and thousands upon thousands of other collectors of TCGs since the dawn of the hobby, that's been good enough. But along comes Mythic Markets in 2019, unless I'm mistaken. And they have this brand spanking newfangled idea. It's so crazy. How could it not work? They're going to sell fractional shares of collectibles. That's right. They're going to bridge the gap, so to speak, between trading card game investments and fractional shares of companies or art pieces. And they're going to sell these fractional shares of items like the Black Lotus. I don't remember which version of Black Lotus. I assume it's beta, but maybe it was alpha. Who knows? This was an interesting time in the world of collectibles. You know, 2019 was right before the big pandemic swept over the world. So when this company was starting to make headlines, there was a huge TCG craze, especially in the world of Pokemon and especially in the world of like reserved list Magic the Gathering cards. You may not remember, but back then there was quite a little bit of a bump when it came to reserved list cards. So along comes Mythic Markets offering fractional shares of really high-end collectibles, museum piece cards. And it's sponsored by people. I think Louis Scott Vargas was in on the sponsoring concept. I think he talked about it a bit. But for a lot of people who didn't buy into it, the idea of not actually owning the collectible you were purchasing fractional shares of a collectible, that was, well, optimistically it was high risk, and pessimistically it sounded like a scam to some people. And obviously those detractors were wrong, because turns out buying fractional shares of a collectible is like a Black Lotus. It's a super awesome idea. In fact, Mythic Markets now is known as the ultimate way to fractionalize your investments, and everyone's buying things like Black Lotuses or Welcome to Wraith Alpha boxes and packs of Fossil on it. And oh wait, no, actually it's gone. The detractors were right, and I think in 2021 it closed its doors. Trading shut down the website, and I don't think Mythic Markets still exists as a company. I could be wrong, but I do remember them shutting down in 2021. Crazy about that, huh? Well, a few years go by, and the crypto market starts to get a bit interesting. People are tired of investing in TCGs, so instead they're all going to become crypto bros. They're all going to move into Dogecoin and stuff like that. And along comes this newfangled way of buying and selling art online. They call it NFTs. These non-fungible tokens they operate like crypto. They're all digital. They exist on the blockchain. It's this newfangled technology that's going to revolutionize the internet and all finances and all that jazz. And everyone's super invested in it. It's the next stage of the financial world. And a lot of really intelligent people with a lot of money go super hard into it, and they convince everyone else, all their influencer and social media friends, to buy into it as well. And sure, there were some detractors who pointed out that buying pixel PNGs of these really fucking ugly apes was a terrible way to park thousands and thousands of dollars. But, you know, those guys are obviously wrong. And fast forward to today, and these PNG apes are worth billions, and the people who invested in them are trillionaires, and they all live out of yachts, and they all own 35 high-end sports cars, and they all have 3 women on each arm, and they all own a Burger King for themselves. Actually, wait, no, I was wrong. That was me hallucinating again. It turns out a lot of people who spent thousands and thousands of dollars on NFTs have lost most of their money, because most NFTs, since the height of the craze, have lost like 90% of their value. In fact, I think Logan Paul lost like $600,000, if I'm not mistaken, on like one NFT. Crazy to think about. $600,000 just like that? That's nuts. Maybe it was a group of NFTs, but still, like that much money just vanishing. I don't have $600,000 to lose like that. So if I lost $600,000 in a financial gamble like that, I wouldn't be financially gambling again. But, you know, maybe, who knows? Maybe in another world the NFT guys were right and everything's all pixel JPEGs now. Who knows? But it does feel like the people who were alive during these times, the height of Mythic Markets, the height of the NFT boom, you know, even if they didn't participate, or even if they did participate, you'd think that they would learn from those mistakes and they wouldn't ever be suckered into a financial scheme like that before again, right? Anyway, in today's video, we're talking about the real topic of today's video, MemeStrategy. That's right. I just wasted 6 minutes of your time before getting into the actual topic of conversation. MemeStrategy, if you guys haven't heard, is this brand new financial company making headlines in the news over the last few days. Some other YouTubers are talking about it. I think Jake talks about it. I think Earn talks about it. If you guys haven't, go check out Twice Baked Jake for casual Pokemon fun, and Earn Collects for more financial Pokemon advice. They're both really nice channels. I'm a huge fan of both of them. Earn Collects. Collects. Today I just learned that I can't say that word right. Anyway, before I get off track with collects. Well, that's going to bug me. Anyway, focus. MemeStrategy is a interesting idea. They are a Hong Kong-based company that is promising to revolutionize the world of collecting by bringing you, yes, you super smart investor, you, the opportunity to purchase tokenized Pokemon card assets. That's right. This is a company that's promising to take 25% of the available copies of PSA 10 graded Pikachu with felt hat cards, quite a mouthful there, and throw those bad boys on the blockchain. I think it's the blockchain, so that you can buy tokenized copies of your cards rather than something stupid like owning them physically. Poor people own their cards physically. Rich people, now they buy tokenized cards. In their defense, you know, before we completely dunk on MemeStrategy, they do have, I think, 3 good reasons for why investing in Pikachu with gray felt hat is a good idea. And in my defense, I have 3 reasons, one for each of their points, for why it's maybe not the smartest thing ever. So let's go through each of their points. The first one they want to talk about is the fact, apparently, this is a fact, that the Pikachu with gray felt hat has appreciated 400% since its release. Hot diggity dog! That is a great price appreciation. It's not been that long. I think it's been like 2 years since this card released in its museum promo. And you know what? 400% increase, that's crazy. That's huge increase. It's big numbers. But my counterpoint is that past appreciation and past performance will never and can never predict future performance and future appreciation. There is no intelligent investor on the planet who's going to look at how much the bar has risen so far and use that to inform themselves on whether or not a given purchase is a good idea. They will certainly take it into account and consideration, but it's not going to be the sole deciding factor, and it never should be. But let's move on. Maybe I'm just a naysayer. Reason number 2, it's rare. It's rare as hell. That's right. The Pikachu with gray found hat had a limited release. There's only so many of them. It's super rare, super hard to get a hold of, and MemeStrategy is going to buy 25% of the available copies. So they're going to shorten the supply even further. And my counter argument is, according to them on their article, there are 47,000 PSA 10 copies available, or PSA 10 graded copies total. Not necessarily on the market, but total. Now, I don't need to tell you guys why that number is a bit the opposite of rare. 47,000 PSA 10 copies. I think it's like 90+ thousand graded copies total. That makes it like the second most graded Pokemon card ever. I think just the McDonald's Pikachu is above it. But that I suppose is a video for another day, if I ever get around to making that one. Their argument is that it's rare because it had a limited release. My counter argument is that it's not rare because it's the second most graded PSA 10 Pokemon card in existence. There's a fuckload of it out there. Okay? A lot. A fucking lot. Okay? Pardon my swearing, but, you know, it needs to be said. There's a fucking lot of these guys out there. The third reason they give for why this is such a great idea is just how authentic it is. You know, PSA 10 is just such a pristine label, and PSA is the most trusted name in grading, and they've never had any controversies, and you can trust PSA 10s because that means everything. That means it's authentic. And my counter argument is no. There's been controversy after controversy when it comes to PSA. I almost said PlayStation. There's been PlayStation controversies too, but yeah, PSA has had controversy after controversy, including controversies surrounding their grading system and how cards show up in the slabs. For years now, this is not a new thing. And they want to just use that they want to use PSA's trust and their reputation as one of the big reasons to get behind this idea. Now, with all that being said, we don't actually know what the vehicle here is. We don't know what exactly they're going to be doing with these Pikachu cards, how people will buy them, what the ownership logs will look like, or anything like that. You know, we don't know. But what I can tell you is, you know, this was just an announcement. This was a public announcement of their plan to make these purchases and their plan to offer tokenized investments in a Pokemon card at some point in the future. But that word right there, tokenized, is the only red flag I personally need to see on anything ever to convince me that it's not worth my time. And here's why. On the channel, I have made it very clear in the past that I firmly believe that if you don't physically own it, if you can't hold it, if it's not yours, if it's not in your possession, if you can't physically hold it, you don't actually own it. A tokenized item is just some promise on a screen in zeros and ones that this item somewhere else, in someone else's servers, someone else's vault, that's totally yours, guy, and you can trust them. You know, just like you can trust that Fort Knox has all that gold, right? Or you can trust that the bank definitely has all of your money, and if everyone wants to withdraw their money all at once, the bank will definitely have enough for everyone, right? I don't actually believe that any counter argument, the sheer number of them, the PSA 10 thing, I don't believe that that's the core of the situation here. I firmly believe that all things being equal, a tokenized asset that you can't hold, that is not physically yours, will never equal a collectible that you can actually hold and appreciate, ever. And the difference between holding a graded card in your hand and holding literally nothing in your hand except a digital promise is vast. In one hand, I have a collectible that is mine. In the other hand, I'm holding on to the promise that some company based in Hong Kong 100% has some tokenized asset that I paid for. Doesn't feel that heavy, is all I'm going to say. So, that's all I got for you kids today. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me, disagree with me, think I'm crazy, or want to try and steal my tokenized Gardevoir. What the hell's wrong with you? Check out the Discord. Check out the Patreon. See you guys next time. Have a good day.